Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, man, how the heck do senior care franchises make money? Or have you thought, gosh, I've been noticing a lot of like aging population out there, and I bet you right now is a good time to become an owner of a senior care franchise. Well, if you have, you're going to want to stick around for this video because we're going to be breaking down the senior care industry as it relates to franchise ownership. But before we do that, some introductions for you. My name's Jason Revere. I am the founder of Revolution Franchise Brokers. We're a consulting firm that helps people just like you, everyday average Americans, just like you, start their own franchise business, launch their own successful franchise business so they can get out of the 9 to 5 corporate grind and begin to live the lifestyle of freedom and financial freedom and lifestyle freedom afforded only to those who own businesses. If you want to learn more about what we do, go up and hit up our website. It's revfran.com. We'll include a link in the description of this video, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about today the senior care industry. So we're going to get into that, and we're going to first start by talking about some industry statistics of the senior care industry. So how big is the senior care industry? Well, it's a $94 billion a year industry today as it sits in 2025. About $94 billion go into the senior care industry, and we're going to break down exactly what buckets that kind of goes into. But just know that it's a huge, very mature industry that's been around, obviously, since the dawn of mankind, right? Seniors, as soon as we started aging, seniors began showing up. And so it's a $94 billion industry, very mature. But one of the coolest things about this industry is the growth trajectory that they are projecting for this industry. And they're projecting an 8.2% annualized growth, which means by 2032, you're looking at about $190 million or billion dollars, $190 billion in the senior care industry. So again, right now, if you know, the saying goes, strike while the iron is hot. Well, the iron obviously is very hot right now for the senior care industry, but is that enough to warrant getting into it? A couple more statistics for you before we move on. There's roughly 30,000 assisted living facilities in the United States of America alone. That's 30,000 facilities. I mean, that's a whole bunch. My goodness. Lots of facilities out there. There's something like, I don't know, 100 and some odd million beds in there. There's 12 million people that are receiving in-home care today. Again, that's a lot. And we're going to, again, if you don't know what that means, stick around because we're going to break that down. And then it employs over 2 million people in the United States alone. So 2 million people work in the senior care industry. So again, very mature, very large industry, and they are projecting, they say that 70% of seniors will need long-term care at some point towards the end of their lives. And so again, it's hot, right? There's a lot of money going into that business. But again, is that enough? So I'm gonna make sure we pump the brakes here because everyone gets all excited, right? We're all excited. That's a lot of money. Well, is it right for you? Well, you got to ask yourself this. Do you have a passion and compassion for helping seniors? If you don't, it's probably not the right industry for you. If you're just looking at them as big cash registers for you to get a bunch of money out of, it's not the right industry for you. And if you, again, we're going to get into a couple other things, but if you don't like working with a large staff, right, there's really only one path that you can get into in the senior care franchise space that's not going to require you to have a pretty large staff. I mean, if you look at some of these in-home care franchises that we're going to go over here, you got, I mean, sometimes hundreds of employees that work for you. And if that doesn't sound like something you're looking for, we may want to take a look at something other than senior care. But let's see here. So what are some senior care franchises? You can just Google it. That's what most people would do. But you got Senior Helpers, Hallmark Home Care, Assisting Hands, Qualicare, Visiting Angels. They've all got these, really nice sounding names. In there, Amada Senior Care is another one. Oasis Senior Advisors is one that we've worked with. We've helped some clients explore along the way. But there are dozens, if not hundreds, of other ones. Some are great. Some are absolutely terrible. We're not going to tell you which ones are great or terrible on this video. We don't want to get a cease and desist letter from any of the those folks that we would say are in the terrible bucket. So if you want to know, hit up our website, give us a call, and we'll tell you one on one. But how do we make money? How do we make money in the franchise? So there's really six distinct ways that a senior care franchise will make money. There's really six ways that they're going to do it. And we're going to break each one of them down. Number one, okay, if you're taking notes, get your pen and paper out. Number one is placement. That's when you are helping a senior and or their family make the decision as to where that senior will end up in a long-term care facility. Because like I said before, there are 12 million of them out there, varying qualities, right? And so if you want to get them into, if a loved one wants to get a senior into the right facility, they don't really know where to turn. It's not something that's on your mind every single day. And so they turn to a trusted advisor to help them find the right place for mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, so they can live out the rest of their years in a place that matches their, their vibe, what they're into, and the needs that they have. And so it's a really necessary service and really cool service because it's absolutely free to the families that use it, which is pretty great, right? Just like a real estate agent would do. They're an expert in their field, and they are an expert at understanding which of these senior care facilities are going to be best suited for each individual use case. And so they meet with them, they advise them. They're usually very kind, very amiable, and they're going to point them in the right direction and help them do so. When they do make a placement and grandma and grandpa are moved into a senior care facility, the facility foots the bill by typically paying the first month's rent of that facility to the owner of the franchise that did that. And again, there's several franchises that do just that in this space. Again, some are good, some are terrible. Don't just say, hey, it's good because it does the thing that he's talking about. No, that's not the way it works. So, but they will pay you that. There's very little in the way of recurring revenue. But if you are a solopreneur, somebody that really just wants to quit their job, quit their 9-to-5 job, and go and start a business with very little moving parts, where it allows you to be out in the community, meeting with these facilities and making those kind of relationships, and then also meeting with the families of the seniors that you will be helping. This could be an industry that could be really interesting for you to explore and could be very lucrative. Some of these, first month's rent, if you're placing them into like a memory care facility, it could be $10,000 to $15,000 as a kind of a windfall for your business. So it's a win-win-win, right? You win, the facility wins because they get a bed placed, their census is now taken care of, and the family wins because they found a wonderful place for their loved ones. So that is number one. That's the first way that you can make money in the senior care industry. Up next is probably the most common one. This is the one that's the most ubiquitous, the one that most people would think of when they think senior care, and this is non-medical in-home care. So if you're taking notes, number two is non-medical in-home care. That's where you would send a caretaker to a senior that needs help with things that are not necessarily medically related. Maybe it's just simple companionship. Maybe it's taking them to the grocery store, helping them make sure that they know how to work the TV, and spending time with them, making their lunches, just doing stuff, right? Running errands with them. Really just being a compassionate person that can do some of those tasks for them, maybe helping them with their incontinence issues. Don't want to go too much down the weeds into that one, but it's all non-medical stuff. So you can hire staff that doesn't have any sort of certification, and you can really build up this business. This is one of those businesses that can have upwards of 100, maybe 200 employees once you get to a pretty large scale, but it is recurring revenue. A lot of it is Medicaid based or Medicare based or insurance based. And so, there's always drawbacks to everything. A lot of money can be transacted in this, but again, you're dealing with insurance companies and you've got a lot of responsibility with all of these employees. It's really a lot like we're owning a temp agency, except these people actually work for you, but it can be a very revolving door. Not a problem. It's not good nor bad. It just is. And so if that sounds like something you could be interested in, and that you'd be good at managing and leading a large team of people, this could be the type of franchise that you should look into. Typical investments, range anywhere from 100 to 200,000 to get the doors open in one of these types of businesses, to have enough working capital to fund the payroll at the onset of this business. But again, lots of revenue is transacted doing this way. That brings us to number three. Number three on the list of ways that you can make money in the senior care industry. Number three is skilled or medical in-home care. This is where you hire a nurse to go in and actually do things, maybe do injections or work with medication, do insert catheters, things like that. Again, I don't want to go too much into the weeds on what that is. You can use your imagination, but you're going to be hiring a slightly higher skill level. It's probably a slightly higher caliber individual on average that you're going to be hiring into your sphere. They are going to be making more money, but you're going to be charging more money to the end user, which is the senior in this case. Again, is a lot of money can be made in this industry, a lot of insurance related stuff. Same kind of drawbacks and positives in the medical space. Lots of employees. So again, if that sounds like you, investment range is going to be very similar, probably going to be on the higher end just because you're going to have to float salaries of the medical personnel for a little bit longer. So I'd say safely 150 to 250,000 to get one of these types of franchises open. But that is the third way that you can make money in the senior care industry. That brings us to number four. What else do seniors need above and beyond just care? They may need some handyman service or some things installed in their house that can allow them to age in place. And that's where these handyman type franchises come in, where they can install things like grab bars in showers, wheelchair ramps. They can install the lifts to get you from the bottom stairs to the top of the stairs. They can do non-slip stuff in the shower. Maybe one of those walk-in shower tub combo things that you've seen advertised on TV. There's plenty of franchises out there that do that. Again, lots of money can be made in this industry, but you may want to come with a little bit of an understanding of just handyman stuff in general. You don't want to be a complete novice when it comes to these kind of things, because you may eventually have to chip in. Even if you hire a staff, you might want to have to, you might chip in. So these are usually on the lower end of the investment spectrum. And just let's call it $100,000 or less to get the doors open on one of these. But again, you can make a decent amount of money if you're doing volume on these types of services. Again, if you're interested in that, hit up our website, revfran.com. We can point you in the right direction. We know and work with a lot of great franchises that are in that space. Number five on the list is concierge services. So this is a really unique type thing. It's not something that most people think about, but seniors need some very specialized things. Maybe they want, maybe they need music therapy or color therapy or acupuncture. Things that are really kind of off the beaten path, non-traditional type stuff can be very difficult to pick up the phone. We're going to get the yellow pages out and call somebody. You don't know who's a good acupuncturist and whatnot. So they will lean on concierge services. They're experts in identifying and finding these types of services for seniors. It could also be like roofing. Maybe they living in a place that needs a new roof. They don't want to get taken advantage of, so they call a concierge type service to vet the company for them. These are all services that there are franchises out there that do this, and they are very systematized, and they can teach you the ropes and help you to advertise your services, and you can make a pretty fair amount of money doing these types of services. And that's probably the most bizarre one that most people don't even think about. And truthfully, I was a little surprised to learn about it. Met with a franchise recently that does just that. They actually have a combo of 3 or 4 different of these ways that you can make money in the space. Cool franchise. I'll tell you about it later. If you're interested, hit up our website. That brings us to number 6, which is the Kevorkian method. Right? Lots of pretty high average ticket. Not a lot of repeat business. I kid, of course. Really only 5 main ones. Again, check yourself on this. If you are interested in the senior care space, it better be more than the reason better be more than just, my goodness, I see so many people aging. Well, yeah, you also see people eating every day. That doesn't mean you should open up a restaurant, right? We all go to the bathroom every day. We shouldn't open up a porta potty thing just based on that one data point. There are things that you need to consider when getting into business ownership. Fit, the amount of money you want to make, what your lifestyle is, how many employees do you want to have? All questions that we ask our clients to help narrow that search down, so we can put the people, the right people with the right franchise system, that's what gets the best success for franchise owners. If you liked this video, please subscribe. Please, begging you, please subscribe to our channel. We'll provide a lot more insight just like this into different industries and different specific franchisors. And if you have any industry that you want us to do an expose on, or provide our feedback on, we'd be happy to do so. Just write it into the comments on this video here, and we'll be sure to put that into the rotation. By the way, I'll be remiss if I didn't at least mention my shirt today. Today at Revolution Franchise Brokers, this was Wear Your Favorite Band shirt to work day, and so that's why I'm wearing my Less Than Jake. So shout out to Chris and Roger and the boys at Less Than Jake. Love your music, guys. And if you don't know who Less Than Jake is, check him out. Anyway, that's going to do it for us today on the Franchise Revolution industry breakdown of the senior care industry. Appreciate you taking the time to watch. Be excellent.